woke up, I went to the kitchen. I grabbed one of the kitchen knives, and then I went to our room, and then I...
It's okay, you can say it.
I killed her.
You killed her?
At 8 o'clock on a quiet Florida evening, a Ring camera caught something completely ordinary. A teenage boy stepping in and out of his apartment, his mother at the door, newborn baby in her arms, gently telling him not to run outside. He nodded. She smiled. That was the last image of Irina Garcia alive. 4 hours later, her son called 911. Can you bring the police over here where I live?
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's dead, miss.
Is your mom breathing? She's dead. No trembling, no crying, flat, measured, like a boy reporting a broken window, not the woman he had just stabbed 46 times. His name was Derek Rosa. He was 13 years old, and what investigators would uncover in the hours that followed wasn't just a crime scene, it was a blueprint. The family. Irina Garcia was 39 years old, living in the Amelia Oaks apartment complex in Hialeah, Florida, a working-class neighborhood south of Miami where families know each other's names and doors stay unlocked. She shared the apartment with Derek, her teenage son, and her newborn daughter, just 2 weeks old. Her husband, Frank Ramos, was a long-haul trucker. That night he was on the road, somewhere far away, completely unreachable. To everyone who knew her, Irina was devoted, present. She held that baby constantly. She watched Derek closely. That evening, the Ring camera showed her doing exactly what any mother would, standing at the door, infant in arms, keeping her teenager in line. Derek nodded. He went inside. What no one knew was that he had already made his decision, hours earlier. He just hadn't acted on it yet. The search history. Here is what detectives found when they pulled Derek's phone. That same afternoon, the afternoon he rode the school bus home, the afternoon he described to detectives as just a regular day, Derek had been searching. What is the best place to stab someone? Is a small knife good for killing? Can a small knife cut through bone? Then he pulled up an anatomical diagram of the carotid artery, studied it, closed his phone. Then he went to school, came home, had dinner, and waited for his mother to fall asleep.
All right, let's get back to your mom. Okay, you said she was sleeping.
Yes.
Okay, where exactly did you cut her?
At first, I cut her right here.
In her neck?
It's like a type of vein that goes through your neck right here on both sides. And if
Okay.
you stab here, a lot of blood sprays out right
Do
here.
you know what that's called?
Like an artery or something.
An artery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Prosecutors point to that sequence: school bus, Google searches, artery diagram, dinner, waiting, as establishing clear, deliberate planning, not impulse, not accident. According to the state's case, each step represented a decision point, a moment where he could have stopped and didn't. The victim was the woman who raised him, and investigators still had no idea why. What they were about to walk into only made that question more urgent. The scene. Officers arrived within minutes of Derek's 911 call. He stepped out of the apartment with his hands raised, covered in blood. One officer looked at this small, calm teenager and asked a single question. Why, bro?
He's down. He's full of blood.
Sorry. It's okay.
Why, bro?
Derek said nothing. Inside, detectives found something that would stay with them for years. Irina Garcia had been stabbed 46 times. She was found on the floor beside her bed, defensive wounds carved into both hands, meaning she woke up mid-attack. She fought back, and she lost. The kitchen knife, purple-handled, its tip broken from the force of repeated impact, was found in Derek's room. Blood smeared the floors, the drawers, the walls, and the crib, just inches from where Irina died, was splattered with her blood. The 2-week-old baby girl was alive, unharmed. She had slept through every second of it.
There's a baby.
How's the baby? Did you do anything to the baby?
No, I did not touch the baby.
But that wasn't the most disturbing detail investigators would document that night. The interrogation. Hours later, Derek sat across from 2 detectives in the Hialeah homicide office, blood still on his clothes. Before the interview started, detectives read him Miranda rights. When the word coercion appeared on the form, he couldn't read it. When asked to initial a document, he said he didn't have initials, just his name. At one point, he asked what an attorney was.
Any questions, you must understand their rights, your rights.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and initial this little dot for me. It means that you understand that. Yeah, just your initials.
I don't have initials, I just write my name.
Okay. Whatever.
What's your name?
Right here.
You have the right to remain silent.
Okay. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Write your name again if you understand that.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions.
His defense would later argue he never truly understood what he was waiving, but Derek signed, said he wanted to talk, and he talked. He described his day without hesitation. School, bus ride home, regular. Went to bed around 10. His mother did the same. The baby was in her room, stepfather on the road. Then, quietly, he picked up the story where it mattered. I woke up, I went to the kitchen, I grabbed one of the kitchen knives, and then I went to her room. And then He paused. The detective leaned in. It's okay, you can say it. You killed her. You killed her.
I woke up, I went to the kitchen, I grabbed one of the kitchen knives, and then I went to her room, and then
It's okay, you can say it.
I killed her.
You killed her? Alright.
Derek confirmed it, without flinching, without dropping his eyes. He said his mother was asleep. He went for her neck first, the artery. He said he knew where it was, and then came the detail that shifted the temperature in that room. Before the first stab, Derek had stood over his sleeping mother and shouted a homophobic slur at her in Spanish. She woke up, she screamed, and he kept going. What he described next would become central to the prosecution's case. The photos. After the attack, Derek didn't run, didn't panic. He went to his stepfather's closet, found 2 handguns, and loaded one. He said he considered killing himself. He held it. He couldn't pull the trigger.
So, what did you do with the guns?
He always has his Glock 19 with him at all times. And since he's a truck driver, he wasn't at home, he was far away.
Okay.
So I went into the closet. I found his book bag because he goes shooting at gun ranges.
Okay.
I grabbed the gun. I put the magazine in the gun.
Okay.
I pulled back to slide, but I didn't want to shoot myself.
Okay.
I intended to shoot myself before, but I couldn't.
So he picked up his phone. He took 3 pictures, 2 of his mother's body, 1 of himself, posed, blood still visible on his hand. Then he sent all 3 to an online gaming friend he'd known for 3 years, a boy he'd never met in person, a boy he only knew as Sweden. Sweden's response, I can't believe it. Derek said goodbye, then called 911. Prosecutors point to that post-attack sequence as significant, loading a firearm, taking photographs, sending them, saying goodbye. Each action separated by decision points, moments requiring conscious choice. According to the state's case, that sequence does not reflect panic or psychological break. It reflects awareness. The motive in the silence. Detectives had spent hours with Derek. He gave them the knife, the artery, the slur, the photos, Sweden, every operational detail recounted without hesitation. But when they finally asked why, do I have to say it now? Yeah, get it off your chest. A long pause. Can I wait for a lawyer? The interview ended. The reason stayed locked inside him. He has never explained it publicly. Without confirmed evidence, no theory can be stated as fact. but investigators and legal analysts following this case have identified 3 areas of documented interest. First, attachment disruption. The arrival of a 2-week-old sibling restructures a household entirely. Attention, resources, parental focus. For an adolescent with existing instability, that shift can register as displacement. Second, household instability. Frank Ramos was living a double life, already married to another woman in Cuba with children of his own. Records show he brought that family to Florida within weeks of Irina's death. Third, internal grievance. The slur Derek shouted before the first stab was targeted, specific. It pointed to a directed hostility that, according to investigators, had likely been building over time. 3 documented areas of interest, 3 unconfirmed theories, but none of that explains 46 stab wounds. The aftermath. What followed in the weeks after Irina's death was almost as unsettling as the crime itself. Hundreds of people rallied online to Derek's defense. His grandmother, Irina's own mother, publicly proclaimed his innocence. Supporters pointed fingers at Frank Ramos, whose hidden life gave the theory oxygen. Prosecutors didn't waver. Derek Rosa was charged with first-degree murder and tried as an adult, making him at 13 one of the youngest inmates at Miami's Metro West Detention Center. He is now 15. His trial has been delayed repeatedly. As of the most recent court filings, Derek Rosa is scheduled to face a jury in early 2026. The ending. A 2-week-old girl slept through her mother's murder in a blood-splattered crib. The boy who admitted to putting that blood there took photographs, said goodbye to a stranger, and dialed 911 with the same composure he had carried all afternoon. He has never said why. In 2026, a jury will sit in a quiet courtroom and look at a boy who was 13 when he searched for the carotid artery, went to bed, and got back up. They will decide his future, and somewhere in that courtroom, the question that has hung over this case for 2 years may finally be answered. Or it won't. Some silences aren't emptiness. Some silences are the answer. This trial is coming. When it does, we'll cover every detail. Subscribe and hit the bell, because when Derek Rosa finally faces that jury, you'll want to be here. See you in the next one.